The vice presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Kashim Shettima, has assured all Nigerians, irrespective of their religion, culture, and tribe, of an all-encompassing and inclusive governance that will promote oneness and improve social-economic development of the country. Senator Shettima made this known during the one-year memorial service for late Dr. Emmanuel Abiodun, the father of Ogun State Governor Prince Dapo Abiodun, held at St. James Anglican Church, Iperu. The event witnessed the presence of eminent personalities, including former President of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, two former governors of Ogun State, Chief Olusegun Oshoba and Otunba Gbenga Daniel, among others. Governor's Office correspondent Yusuf Ganiu has the details.
That late Dr. Emmanuel Adesonya Abiodun, father of Ogun State Governor Prince Dapo Abiodun, gave up the ghost at the ripe age of 89 years. It is against this backdrop that dignitaries from all walks of life, including former President of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, Vice President candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Kashim Shettima, former governors of the state, Chief Olusegun Oshoba and Otunba Gbenga Daniel, members of the State Executive Council, former and serving legislators, the judiciary, as well as royal fathers converge on St. James Anglican Church, Iperu Remo in Ikene local government for the memorial service. In its sermon, Bishop of Remo Anglican Diocese, Most Reverend Olushino Fakpe said, "Sweet is the memory of the righteous, who virtuously served God and humanity, and who lived on in the heart of everyone."
Nigerians, where are you embezzling and you are amassing what you will not take to heaven? Why don't you remember and do something that your generation will benefit from and they will thank you? Today, we say thank God on behalf of Dr. Emmanuel Abiodun, who lived a quality life, and today we are thanking God for him.
Senator Kashim Shettima, while describing the patriarch's life and times as one that benefited Nigeria at large and also secured the future of the upcoming generations by creating an all-encompassing and embracing governance.
This is the Nigeria of our dreams. This is the Nigeria we need to build on, where people are judged by the content of their character, by their competence, by their abilities, irrespective of differences in our political affiliations, religious persuasions, sectional or tribal background. We need to build a nation because the hope for the black man rests with the people of this country. And the onus is on us to secure the future of generations yet unborn.
Governor Abiodun thanked Almighty God for the grace upon the Abiodun's family, saying their late patriarch was indeed a noble father whose life is worthy of emulation.
It was just like yesterday that our father passed. His ministry was the teaching ministry, and through that ministry, our father won many souls. He was a very, very humble man, indeed. He was a very loving husband. He was a doting father over all his children and his grandchildren.
Prince Abiodun and other family members were later joined to offer thanksgiving to God. Laying of wreath at Baba Teacher's tomb wrap up the occasion. Yusuf Ganiyu, Ogtv News.
The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Patami, has said that Ogun State will emerge Nigerian Silicon Valley in the future as a result of the information technology initiatives of Governor Dapo Abiodun-led administration that will be used in all sectors of the state economy. Professor Patami made this remark during the visit with members of the Nigerian Computer Society to the state governor's Prince Dapo Abiodun's office in Okemoso, Abeokuta. Again, Governor's Office correspondent Yusuf Ganiu has the details.
Nigerian Computer Society is the umbrella organization of all information technology bodies whose aims and strategic objectives is for the advancement and promotion of computing information technology education and practice for the benefit of all. Ogun State Governor Prince Dapo Abiodun received the leadership of the society led by the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, who says the purpose of the visit to intimate the government about the national conference to be hosted in the Gateway States. Professor Pantami appreciated the current administration for being passionate about IT development in Nigeria, adding that the contributions of IT has greatly raised the gross domestic product (GDP) of many economically viable countries, observing that Silicon Valley alone has higher GDP than Qatar and Luxembourg.
Your Excellency, nothing brings economic development today like ICT innovation. If you look at the Silicon Valley in the US, if Silicon Valley were to be a country, the GDP per capita of Silicon Valley would be the highest in the world. Your Excellency, I strongly believe that with your initiatives, in the next few years, we will have another Silicon Valley here in Nigeria.
In his remarks, the President, Nigerian Society of Computer, Professor Simeon Shodia, also lauded the state government for its great initiatives in using IT to drive governance, which could be seen in the areas of land administration, finance, ICT hub, job portal, among others.
We promise that members of the Nigerian Computer Society will continue to provide necessary support for law administration so that we can achieve all the things we need to achieve, especially in the area of IT.
Governor Abeokuta said the state is being repositioned with deployment of IT as learner certificate number, digital curriculum, and infrastructure in the education sector, which are being applied digitally, adding that the creation of Ogtv Corp is to identify the best brain in ICT and to divert youths with IT knowledge from using it in a negative form.
We need to be more proactive by engaging these young minds and trying to turn them around so that we can turn them into productive hands. And I definitely agree with you. And that is what we're going to do. So jointly with the Ministry of Digital Economy, I'm sure that we can find ways to attract these young minds and use them for protection of our cyber security.
Prince Abeokuta, while commending the society for choosing the state for its conference, charged them to come up with programs that will make computer accessible to all Nigerians. Yusuf Ganiyu, Ogtv News.
Meanwhile, members of Nigerian Computer Society have been encouraged to continually seek for ways of making the society better and finding solutions to the myriad of problems facing the nation through proper deployment of information communications technology. Ogun State Governor Prince Dr. Abiodun gave this encouragement while declaring open the International Conference of the Society held at the June 12 Cultural Center, Kuto, Abeokuta. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Patami, was among the participants at the event. Matthew Shomi completes the reports.
With participants drawn from players in the industry, members of the society, federal government agencies involved in the use and management of information communications technology, regulators, stakeholders, academics, and Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, in attendance, the Nigeria Computer Society hopes to develop the mind that will help build a smart, secure, and sustainable nation. Declaring the conference open, Ogun State Governor Prince Dr. Abiodun, represented by the Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Professor Abayomi Arigbabu, said the current administration in the state has hugely deployed ICT to drive development, resulting in many awards.
One of our core enablers for good governance is information and communication technology. As a government, we are aware of the many advantages our people have continued to reap since the introduction of a digital economy.
Chairman of the occasion, Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Pantami, stated that this is the right time for players to come up with solutions to the challenges confronting the nation through ICT.
Whenever you are online, you are exposed to so many challenges, and it is necessary to ensure that you follow all the requirements to secure your city, or to secure your home, or to secure your country.
President of the association, Professor Adeshino Shodia, declared that the conference would discuss ways for the adoption of smart systems in government, production, agriculture, business, science, management, and national security.
You know, this nation is facing a number of challenges. Apart from the challenges we are facing, we need to also move forward in the area, in the way we adopt technology. People are talking about smart agriculture, fourth industrial revolution. How much of this have we been able to achieve as a nation?
There were good messages from participating government agencies, other societies in the world, operators and stakeholders, both physically and virtually. Awards were presented to the winner, first runner-up and second runner-up 2022 National IT WizKids competition organized by the society. Matthew Showumi, Ogtv News.
Away from that story, for even distribution of dividends of democracy, all aspects of the economy must be given adequate attention. This was the conclusion of cross-section of scholars, professionals and entrepreneurs who formed discussants at the lecture and interactive section organized by the Abeokuta Club in commemoration of its 50 years of existence. Elizabeth Esson completes the story.
Interactive session on topical issues of national interest, organized by members of Abeokuta Club as part of activities marking the 50th anniversary. The lecture and interactive session, which has as its theme good governance and misgovernance, the contract called democracy. The president of Abeokuta Club, Engineer Tokumbo Debomi, and the chairman of the occasion, Mr. Fola Adeola, confirmed that topics of the interactive session became pertinent going by the present situation in the country.
I therefore call on the nation's leaders at various levels of governance to seize the opportunity and the advantage of this interactive session to broaden and brighten their various programs, taking meaningful advantage from opportunities offered by this type of today's scholarly interactive session.
We continue to ask for it without asking the self whether we are ready for it, because we are so used to and consumed by the absence of governance.
Moderating the interactive session was the Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka.
In the process of our deliberations, you will be able to enlighten me what is expected from those who have been disenfranchised, whose vote has been taken away when their representatives are not allowed to represent them. What else is the meaning of democracy?
Discussants at the interactive session were Femi Falano, JAMB Registrar Professor Ishaku Loyede, Olotu Ogoluwa Bankole, Chief Sunday Odunton, and Dr. Gbenga Adeoye.
We cannot continue as a people if we continue to encourage theft. So the problem is for us to just agree that for the country to move forward, we all need to work together as a people.
In the laws of our country, we have things that, if implemented, Nigeria will be a great country.
You acquire some knowledge and you develop it further on and expand.
Once you do not take care of the security of the people and their welfare, you have no government in place. Without education, we have lost everything. Nothing made the Egba people, nothing made them what they were, if not education.
There were presentation of awards to discussants and some of the schools represented, as well as commissioning of an art gallery within the Abeokuta Club Millennium Hall. Elizabeth Esson, Ogtv News.
Still to come on the news, Inspector General of Police deploys additional men in news. And Ogun State House of Assembly has invited the 5 commissioners nominees and 4 others recently nominated as members of statutory commissions by the state governor, Prince Dr. Abiodun, to appear before the state lawmakers for screening on Wednesday, 3rd of August 2022. A statement by the clerk and head of legislative service, Mr. Adeji Adeyemo, indicated that the screening would hold at the Assembly Conference Room 215 at 2 in the afternoon. The statement therefore enjoined all the nominees to submit 30 copies of their curriculum vitae and credentials of the office of the clerk of the House by 12 in the afternoon. The commissioner nominees include Adijat Adeleye Oladapo, Taiwo Oladotun, Amzat Ganiu, Ola Oresoya, and Abayomi Unye. The nominees for the statutory commissions are Mr. Adeleye Joseph Ademola for Teaching Service Commission, Honorable Onadeko Onomusi for House of Assembly Service Commission, Princess Adeshola Ayola Elegbeji, and Honorable Akinpelu Aino Nuruddin for Judicial Service Commission. And to more national stories, Nigeria has made a strong case for effective collaboration and cooperation by international community towards finding lasting solutions to the prevailing challenges of security, describing it as a global threat to civilization. President Muhammadu Buhari, who made the request while granting audience to envoys posted to Nigerian, expressed the belief that matters of security have become the business of all nations. The new envoys were in the State House Nigerian seat of governance to present their letters of credence to President Muhammadu Buhari. This is to mark the beginning of the representational duties in Africa's largest economy. The envoys are the Canadian High Commissioner to Nigeria, James Kirsten Christoph, and the Mexican Ambassador to Nigeria, Juan Alfred Miranda Ortiz. President Muhammadu Buhari, who formally welcomed the envoys to Abuja, tasked them to not only be on the success of their predecessors, but to further make efforts at expansion and advancement in relations with Nigerians across political, social, economic, and cultural spheres.
The ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine has undermined the progress countries have achieved in tackling food security in the last decade, while the political instability in Libya continues to fuel terrorism in the Sahel, as well as scatter the democratic sustenance in both West and Central African regions. Nigeria is not left out of the equation, as we are fighting to rid our country of banditry, kidnapping, harder farmer crisis, and insurgency. We are, however, making meaningful progress with the support of friendly countries like yours to sustain these fights until we overcome these challenges.
At the regular level, the President says Nigeria is working with other member states of ECOWAS and other regional blocs to deal with trans-border and maritime crimes, illicit drugs, and human trafficking, as well as other constitutional challenges of governance. The challenges, he says, go beyond the abilities of any single country to effectively contain and the urgent need for the world to work closely together at both lateral and multilateral levels.
Nigeria is drawing closer to its 2023 national elections, and the candidates representing their parties at different levels are beginning to build a consensus within their respective parties in preparation for the launching of campaigns across the country soon. As the drums of campaign begin to rise, I urge you to be guided by diplomatic practice to ensure that your activities remain within the limits of your profession as you monitor the build-up and the conduct of the general elections.
The Canadian High Commissioner to Nigeria, who responded on the behalf described as a true honor and pleasure for them to formally take up their positions in Abuja and begin official engagements with the Nigerian government.
Mr. President, we look forward to working with your ministers and officials and a wide range of stakeholders from across Nigeria to build the relationships that will underpin progress in areas of mutual interest.
And in carrying out their official responsibilities, the envoy has been asked to spare time to appreciate the uniqueness and faith in Nigerian cultural diversities, which President Buhari says represent the pride and identity of the nation and its people. As part of its efforts to increase the productivity of cocoa, which will in turn generate revenue for the farmers and government, the federal government has constituted the National Cocoa Management Committee to drive this process. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Muhammad Abubakar, while inaugurating the committee, said this move became pertinent following the recent visit by the officials of the ministry to Ghana to study the implementation of living income differential. It said the purpose of this move is to increase the share benefits received by cocoa farmers as it is done in Ivory Coast and Ghana. It said a committee shall develop a framework for the regulation and monitoring of the activities of the cocoa sector to make the industry more transparent. The NCMC shall organize and conduct a national conference for commissioners of agriculture from 36 states and FCT to sensitize them on the importance of lead and the efforts of the federal government towards ensuring that our smallholder cocoa farmers also enjoy the benefit like Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire. The United Nations Children's Fund and the World Health Organization have said over 70% of infants in Nigeria are denied exclusive breastfeeding. The organization made this known in a joint press statement commemorating World Breastfeeding Week. The 2022 World Breastfeeding Week is termed Step Up for Breastfeeding, Educate and Support. According to them, the exclusive breastfeeding rate in Nigeria is 29%. They, however, called on governments to allocate increased resources to protect, promote and support breastfeeding policies and programs, especially for the most vulnerable families living in emergency settings. The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, says 85% of Nigerian children between the ages of 1 and 14 experience violent discipline in schools, with nearly 1 in 3 children experiencing severe physical punishment. UNICEF Chief of Education, Sadhana Pandey Sobrayan, disclosed this in Abuja at a 2-day national awareness creation meeting on ending corporal punishment in schools, organized by the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria in collaboration with UNICEF. Pandey Sobrayan described the discussion on ending corporal punishment in schools as difficult and heartbreaking, stating, however, that the presence of participants at the meeting was a testament to Nigerian determination to uphold every child's right to safety, well-being, and quality inclusive education. According to her, the persistence of this practice contradicts Nigeria's national policy on safety, security, and violence-free schools, which commits to zero tolerance to any threats to the security of life and property in schools. Graduation ceremony marks major transitional moments of the possibility of today, but they are not the assurance of years to come. Hence the need for graduates to face the future with the assurance of making a positive impact nationally and globally. This was the submission of the Vice Chancellor of Babcock University, Professor Tayo Ademola, during the 20th and 11th convocation ceremony held at the University Stadium, Elysian Remo, Ogun State. Adebola Oshomoji has the details.
As 2,077 undergraduates received their diplomas and degrees, while 471 graduated from postgraduate school, making a total of 2,548. The institution recorded the highest number of postgraduate graduates, with 159 PhDs. Among them are the 2 senior advocates of Nigeria, a brigadier general serving in the army, members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Institute of Taxation, and the Council of Institutes of Administrators. The Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Tayo Ademola, in his farewell message, urged the graduates to present themselves to the world as precious individuals who are ready to make a remarkable impact.
Dear graduates, you have a responsibility to Nigeria and to the world at large. I therefore encourage you to set aside your iPods, iPads, iPhone for a while and focus on your fellow human beings. Use your knowledge you have gained at Babcock creatively and generously.
The guest lecturer, Mr. Deni Yolajide, engaged them on how to be determined by grabbing opportunities that comes their way.
No matter what you seek to do, no matter what you seek to do in your life, anything is possible. I'm sure many of you have heard, whatever your mind can conceive of, and you believe, and work hard.
Awards were given to the overall best performances in leadership at undergraduate programs and the overall highest CGPA at undergraduate and postgraduate levels.
It's a very long journey. It's been very long, and I'm so glad it's over. Yeah, I have faced some challenges and some problems, but I'm just so glad it's over and I came out the best, so I'm happy about that.
I feel very honored. I feel very grateful. I'm very surprised and shocked because I wasn't told about this. I wasn't expecting it, and it was just a lot for me, and I'm very grateful to God Almighty.
From all indications, these graduates have been molded with intellectual strength, focus and willpower, reflecting the knowledge, truth and service Babcock University is known and stands for. Adebola Oshomoji, Ogtv News.
Now, music legend evangelist Ebenezer Obi-Fabi has launched a new ministry tagged Freedom from Alcoholism and Drug Addiction Ministry, Fathom, as part of its efforts to join forces with the war against alcoholism and drug addiction, especially among the younger generation of Nigeria and in the diaspora. The development, according to the music icon, is a separate ministry aside from his popular The Cross Gospel Mission and Ebenezer Obi Evangelistic Ministry, to massively enlighten and educate youth on the danger of alcoholism and drug addiction. Obe, as he is fondly called, also noted that Fathom would also become an avenue to assist parents and families of alcoholic and drug-addicted children and youth, as it will allow them to overcome the challenges and make their children better citizens of the society. The octogenarian musician who received the news of the demise of his son, Olayinka Obi-Fabi, during his short vacation in the United Kingdom, stressed that the reason behind the launch of the new ministry becomes paramount to turn in the pains of the death of his son, Olayinka Obi-Fabi, into a solution ministry to parents and families of such children and youths passing through the same experience. Obewu also expressed sadness over the death of his son, Olayinka Obi-Fabi, age 48, despite trying all he could as a father to help the deceased fight against his weakness, but to no avail. However, noted that he had received news that Yinka had just 6 months to live. Evangelist Obe then thanked all for the outpouring of condolences and therefore appreciated his elder son, Shino Obi-Fabi, for the coordinating role being played within the family. The Diocese of Egba Anglican Communion will on Wednesday, 3rd August 2022, hold a business summit for youth and intending young entrepreneurs as part of activities marking the 46th anniversary celebration of the diocese. The business summit with the theme, a new paradigm shift in generating and increasing personal and church finance based on 21st century modes of profitable investment, is sponsored by SG Holding Foundation. A statement by the project director of SG Holdings Foundation, Dr. Femi Akinbile, said the group managing director and chief executive officer of SG Holding Limited, Mr. Oladeji Matthew Shomoye, will be attending the business summit to engage the youth and entrepreneurs in an interactive session on the topic Youth Empowerment through Entrepreneurship and Effective Business Management. The summit would hold at the multi-purpose hall of the Egba Anglican Diocese, Bishop Court, Onikolobo, Abeokuta, starting at 10 in the morning. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, has allayed the fears of residents in the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, and its environs over the recent perceived security threats. The IGP ordered massive deployment of additional police operatives and operational assets within the Federal Capital Territory and its environs to solidify the security and protection of lives and property of its residents, critical national assets and vulnerable facilities, as well as road users plying roads in and around the FCT. The police boss gave the charge during the Force Management Team's meeting at his office while receiving general security update on the nation. He charged the Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of the Department of Operations, DIG Balazama Zenshi, to supervise and manage the deployment to ensure maximum security in the FCT, as well as surrounding states with a high risk of attacks resonating from the threats being speculated on the news, as the force does not and will never undo any information with kid glove. The IGP, however, cautioned members of the public, especially citizens, journalists, on the danger of spreading false misinformation and disinformation, as they could be detrimental and counterproductive to national security. The Nigerian Navy has handed over a vessel loaded with an unspecified quantity of diesel and 5 suspects to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The base operation officer of the Nigerian Navy ship, Victor Lieutenant Commander Clement Ayogu, handed over the vessel and the suspects to an assistant superintendent of EFCC from the Uyo zone, Mr. Inaife Young Inaife. The Navy said the suspects are 4 Nigerians and a Venezuelan national. Ayogu said that the handover was done on behalf of the NNSV Commander Commodore Ifeanyi Opala, as directed by the Flag Officer Commanding Eastern Naval Command Rear Admiral Ibrahim Dewo. He explained that the arrest was made in relation to the operation Dakata da Barao, which the Navy inaugurated to fight illegal bunkering and crude oil theft. Dewo said the vessel named Edidon AJ and the suspects were arrested on July 20, 2022 by men of the NNSV on patrol at Calabar Channel. He said at the time of the arrest, the vessel had 4 crew members from Nigeria and a Venezuelan national. They were advised members of the public to desist from all forms of criminal activities. He vowed that the Navy and other security agencies would not spare anyone involved in criminalities. Up next is business news. Do join us.
Welcome to the business segment of the news. The federal government has said it was working to increase mortgages provided to contributors under the National Housing Fund to the tune of 712 billion naira for financing of about 100,000 housing units across the country. It disclosed this at the inaugural board and management retreat of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria in Abuja, adding that efforts were on to deliver 1 million affordable homes to Nigerians under the National Housing Program. The chairman, Board of Directors, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Ayodeji Bileyi, said the bank's board had approved a strategic plan that would increase the amount of mortgages to be provided for the construction of houses for Nigerians. President Muhammadu Buhari has mandated the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure to stimulate food revolution to feed industries and Nigerians. Speaking during the groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of the Agricultural Machinery and Equipment Development Institute in Lafia, the Nasarawa state capital, the executive vice chairman of Naseni, Mohammed Aruna, who unveiled Buhari's position, stated that situating Ahmedi in Nasarawa was part of the directives given to the agency by the president to revolutionize farming and food processing using technology. He said Naseni had succeeded in the development of some relevant equipment and machines in the food value chain, from cultivation, planting, weeding, harvesting, post-harvest, and food preservation. The federal government has insisted that it had not raised the pump price of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, above the regulated cost of 165 naira per litre. It said the hike in the cost of the commodity, currently between 175 naira per litre and 230 naira per litre, depending on the location of purchase, was done by oil marketers. The government, however, could not explain why it was not enforcing the approved price. Speaking, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipre Silva, insisted the subsidy regime was still in effect, adding that if there are increases in the price, it is not from the government, but from the marketers. He promised to work with relevant agencies of government to ensure that they regulate the prices. The federal government has assured that the future of Nigeria's upstream oil and gas is promising, but requires the right legislative framework and a change in policy direction for maximum economic recovery and energy sustenance. The Chief Executive, Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Benga Komolafe, gave the assurance while delivering his goodwill message at the ongoing 45th Nigerian Annual International Conference and Exhibition organized by the Society of Petroleum Engineers, Nigerian Council in Lagos. According to him, the recently enacted Petroleum Industry Act 2021 has generous fiscal provisions aimed towards attracting investment, not just for oil development, but for harnessing of the rich gas potentials of Nigeria, which is among the highest in the world. And finally, the Director General of the Industrial Training Fund, Joseph Ari, has said that the agency is currently putting finishing touches to the process and modalities that will enable it to begin mass production of Android phones for Nigerians. He spoke in Jos during a media briefing organized by the ITF to unveil its strategic policy direction for the 2022-2025 period. According to the DG, apart from the need to widen the capacity of the machines involved in the mass production of Android phones, there was also the need for the agency to finalize the legal framework for the purpose of intellectual property rights. The Director General decried the high rate of unemployment in the country, which he noted stood at over 33%, pointing out that the situation had persisted mostly because over 23 million Nigerians that are desirous to work do not have requisite skills. That's the size of the business segment of the news. Many thanks for watching. The rest of the bulletin continues. Do not go anywhere.